There was a very fine line between unorthodox compassion and abject fear. But I learned something else, something about life that I have carried with me every day since. Fat meat is greasy. I know I echo the sentiments of many here in saying that I wish Coach was in attendance this evening. Now I'm going to cut out the part about me not wanting to come to Hume-Fogg because other people have covered that. So I want to talk about an early memory that I have that comes from the first day of German 1 class. Now, I was sitting amongst a group of terrified young men and women, and I caught the glance of an individual sitting beside me. Now, one of us spoke to the other, fuzzy memories again, and thus began a trusted comradeship that has today lasted for almost 30 years. I'm proud to say that gentleman is in the audience this evening, along with many other individuals whom I have been blessed to have in my life for almost as long, and I am proud to call them all my friends. The bond that was initiated between us in these classrooms and hallways has survived and grown over the years, nurtured initially by the atmosphere within this building and within the community in which it stands, and then by the souls and the lifeblood of each of us as we moved on. We retained within us that shared experience, that longing for something better, that desire to learn and to keep learning. It is what defines us as Hume-Fogg students and faculty. For a couple of years after leaving Hume-Fogg, I had a recurring dream. 2 or 3 times a month, I would find myself in the building totally alone. And after having spent 4 years in this structure, I certainly knew every inch, at least what was not off limits to students, of this school. In the dream, however, I would go to what I knew was Coach Travis's classroom, only to find it was Miss Bergman's art room. Or I would go to the cafeteria, only to discover that I was in the library. I came to believe that these dreams were manifestations of that hole that I spoke of earlier. I was trying to find order, comfort, a routine after leaving Hume-Fogg, something to fill that hole. Now, eventually I experienced these dreams less and less until they finally went away. That hole was filled almost unnoticeably by other life experiences. And the answer to that question, what next, became clear whether I realized it or not, due to what was inside of me, what had been instilled in me by the time I spent in this magnificent place, with individuals, students, and faculty, all traveling the initially unknown road, but all the while gaining strength in the knowledge that this legacy was and remains a good and true realization of the vision seen 30 years ago. Thank you, and good evening.
Thank you, Mike. From the class of '89, we are going to call Roger Abramson up to the stage. When Roger was here, he ran track and cross country. His favorite subjects were history and English. He is also a member of my group. He's a lawyer, in-house counsel for a national employee benefits company. He received his...
We give these people too many lawyers.
It's okay, it's okay. Kill all lawyers right now. That's okay. He got his BS from political science from the University of Evansville, and he got his JD from Wake Forest in 1995. Roger's been in the Nashville area all his life. He has 2 children, Thomas and Benjamin. We are glad to welcome Roger to talk about his experience.
Yeah, I do want to apologize to America for afflicting so many lawyers. This school needs to owe some apologies. I'll be very, very quick, though, for various reasons, but everything has been said. I don't really have a lot to add at this point. As I was listening to everybody, I was like, oh, we said that, they said that. So what I'll do is very, very quickly. Just tell you a short little story. Promise it will be short. And I live presently in Williamson County near high school that is right on the parade route for their homecoming parade. And I have the great blessing to be able to live at home. Work at home. I think we all live at home. Thank you. You don't need to put the homeless pee bucket out there. Anyway, work at home. All right. So anyway, so every year, you know, they have this parade, and those people go out there and watch these people, whatever they do. And I'm always rather fascinated by it because, and I ask questions about it, and people look at me like, you know, what is wrong with you? You know, haven't you ever seen a homecoming parade? And I was like, no, only this one. I have no idea. You know, and they're like, well, what does your high school do? We didn't have a homecoming parade. We didn't have a football team. That would have been a disaster. And I don't think Nashville, how progressive we've become, is still yet ready for a Hume-Fogg parade. I can imagine what that would be. In any case, very quickly, so this one asked, it was a strange question, so I thought it was strange. She's like, well, how did you all show school spirit? Like, first of all, people came here, that wasn't really a top priority in our lives, but if that was something big on you, you're probably staying where you were. Well, whatever. And I said, well, I guess I don't think she meant it quite the way. I said, well, you know, to be honest, I guess we kind of did it in our own way. We all chose to be here. And the theme that's gone through is all of us, most of us who came here could have coasted, at least academically, wherever it was we were zoned to. We could have zipped on through, and that would have been fine. And never looked back. Instead, we decided to come here and work really hard. I have to confess, I must have missed the 30-page essays. You guys could have gotten rid of that before we came in. So that's good. But I don't think I could have dealt with that. But the point is, what I told her was, we were just kind of this bonded group. From 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day, this is our little world. And then we all scattered to the four winds, back to our homes, back to the people who we left, who told us, asked us why we left the school to come here, and then why did you go there? And we told them. And I told her we didn't have to worry about that because every day we were kind of bonded together, and this little island, this little group of people was sort of at war in a nice way with everybody else, and sort of a symbol of the city in the school that my 11-year-old still continues to call the Giant Castle. So with that, I will close. Thank you.
Our next speaker from the class of '89 is our dear friend Kara Highsmith. And I want you guys to know that she really, really worked extremely hard to help put this program together. All of the blast, the website, the Facebook page, Kara was on it. And I was just blown away at her ability to get a lot of information together and get it disseminated to everyone. So we're just very, very grateful for her efforts. Come on, Kara, come on up to the stage. She was involved in the college and the Spanish club and cross-stitch when she was here. She played tennis her senior year only. Her favorite subject was English. She received her bachelor from Belmont in 2002 and her master's also in English in 2005. She is a freelance editor and she is the proud mother of a son. And one of her most proud accomplishments is she helped put together a major in publishing at Belmont University based on her creative insight. So Kara is on the ball, and you do have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, gosh, I should know by now how procrastinate. Nothing good comes from procrastination. I thought that going last would make things easier, but I really just had a lot of time to get emotional. And turn into a popsicle because it's freezing in here. Okay. For those who know me or ever have me in a class, you will not believe this for 1 second, but I really hate talking in front of people. I fare much better with the written word, so much so that I made a career out of it. But most of my work is actually helping other people find their voice. And that's something I learned here at Hume-Fogg. You see, most of our teachers and our administrators were dedicated to this very principle, helping us find our voice, discover who we were meant to be, and prepare us for the journey. They gave us the room to rise to the occasion, encouraging us to see how far we could push ourselves, give us permission to dream, and providing us the freedom to explore those possibilities. Would we have done it just as well, regardless of where we attended school? Absolutely. that was in us on a cellular level. And those kinds of gifts find their way to the surface regardless of your circumstances. But every young mind needs nurturing, and the degree to which that happens makes a significant difference in the level of potential realized. And that would never have happened elsewhere the way it did here. Coach Travis gave me my first taste of really savoring literature. Mr. Kaplan challenged and elevated my critical thinking. Mr. Brown tapped into my passion for words. Ms. Gibson showed me what a glorious thing it is to experience and cherish cultures outside my own. Each of them in their own way broadened the worldview of this girl who had led a very narrow and sheltered life. I can't help but thinking of a film called Sliding Door. Throughout the story, the audience follows the main character alternating between two divergent paths based on a single decision. And we see how many aspects of her life are affected by this one seemingly insignificant choice. The interesting thing is that at some point the paths converge, and she still finds her way to the person she's supposed to be. I can look back over my 42 years and see a number of pivotal moments that changed my trajectory, one of the first being the decision to give Hume-Fogg a shot. I'm confident I would have found myself eventually, but I do wonder if, absent this environment that cultivated a love of learning, I would have become complacent somewhere along the way. The challenge of Hume-Fogg is not just in keeping up with the now infamous 30-page journals. It's in striving for greatness, pushing boundaries, and refusing to settle for less than what we believe is possible. High school is never easy. We all come away a little scarred in one way or another. Some of us quite literally. Ms. Gibson, I did not master number 8 because I still have permanent knots on my shins from tripping up those stairs because I was constantly running late to class. So, but through the benefit of 20 years of living, I can look back through the lens of a less hormone-driven, naive perspective and realize how important this experience was to who I've become. Thank you.
So what happened after the first 4 classes came and went? Well, we're going to have some remarks from some of our younger alumni. I'm going to call up to the stage Mark Downton from the class of 1993 and Jason Field from the class of 2013 to talk about what happened next. Mark, when he was at Hume-Fogg, the class of 93, he was heavily involved in forensics and debate. He was president of the Forensics Club and captain of the debate team his sophomore through his senior year. He was also class president his junior and senior year. Go again. His favorite subject was history. He received lots of forensic and debate awards, but his most important award was he was the Metro champion in the Lincoln Douglas debate and top overall performer in Metro Forensics League all 4 years of high school. He represented the state of Tennessee at the National Forensics League National Championships as a student. He got his Bachelor of Arts from Xavier in Political Science, and he received his JD from the University of Tennessee, where he graduated magna cum laude and was a member of the Order of the Coif, which is like the biggest honor you can have as a law student. So we commend Mark for that. Mark?
So I have been asked to talk about the first 10 years at HFA, and that is a daunting task because I was only around for a small portion of that, and I am also a very selfish person, so I only really remember what happened to myself. I can tell you some things about that time that have only been alluded to. First, any parent who sent their child to Hume-Fogg clearly valued education over the safety and morality of their children. Right next door to the high school was Nashville's preeminent gentleman's club, the Classic Cat. The cat was painted in almost 5 dimensions of a color that put the hot into hot pink. Down the road, Broadway was still Lower Broad, featuring establishments like the Wheel Adult Emporium, where you could see sleazy-looking characters skulk in and out looking for smut. Tony Alamo Boots, where you could see the same sleazy characters handing out flyers about the Pope being the Antichrist. There were homeless people everywhere, and we knew them well. Where the impressive public library now stands, we had instead a poorly imagined downtown mall called Church Street Center. I have no idea what stores were featured in Church Street Center, other than a Sparrow Pizza, a Petro's Chili and Chips, a place where you could buy badass ninja stars, and the Tilt video game arcade that had a broken Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game that you could play for hours on just $1. I have no idea how that mall went out of business. We all knew the lipstick lady, and many of us also got to know some of the wonderful personalities on the city bus. As a 14-year-old boy, I was lectured on militant black politics by a fellow traveler on the MTA. But it was a great conversation, and the next day, I was gifted with a book written by Marcus Garvey by that same guy. So without even meeting the excellent teachers we've heard so much about, kids can learn a lot at HFA. We learned that most things aren't as scary as they're made out to be. We learned that homeless people are people. We learned that people with different perspectives still had a perspective. We learned that you could learn from anything and anyone. We've heard a lot about the awesome teachers at HFA, and in my opinion, all of them measured up with any teacher I had in college. They were as unique as the students and brought something that can't be measured by the standardized tests that we rely so much upon. They brought real love for the students, and often entirely different ways of reaching us. When I was a junior here, I decided that I was a smart guy and I wanted to take all kinds of AP classes. I tested really well,